Sebastian Martinez, MMAnytt, here with Graham Boylan, CEO of Cage Warriors, and I guess second time's a charm when it comes to Sweden, right?
Yes, happy we're here, man. It's been a long road, but we're here in Gothenburg. I think we're close to a sellout tomorrow night, so I think the atmosphere is going to be it's going to be pretty electric in there, and it's a huge Scandinavian fight card that we have. We've gone top, bottom, left, right, and we've picked up the best that was available for this fight card. So it's going to be, I think, a cracking card from 4:30. Once those early fights start kicking off, it's just going to step up and step up and step up, and we're expecting from 9 p.m. on that live broadcast to just be electric. Yeah.
And as you said, I gotta agree, it's probably some of the best Scandinavian fighters available. Were there any fights that could have got it, but no, injury, or some fights that perhaps we might see at a future Scandinavian Cage Warriors event, or some fighters that perhaps had to say no this time, but you're looking to get next time? Yeah,
there were a bunch of fighters who were free. Like a lot of people are contracted organizations these days. You know, the sport has grown. Yeah. And organizations, you know, they need to do contracts with fighters to have fighters to compete and put these shows on. But there were a lot of guys who wanted to fight on the card who contacted us. But there's only so many spots on any one fight card, you know. So we can put on like 12, 15 fights, and we can't fit everybody in. But we're going to look Monday at our debrief, when we have a team debrief after this event, like we do after every show, and see A, when we're going to come back, and look at B, how many times we're going to come back a year. So we've got a massive Scandinavian roster, and we've got a lot of Scandinavian guys who want to sign with us. So we're going to start putting the pieces of the puzzle together and see who else we can get on the second time around card. Yeah.
And what you said, we're close to a sellout tomorrow. Does a sellout guarantee a future Scandinavian event or a future Swedish event next year?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to come into a new territory for the first time with an organization and have a sellout event, I mean, it's a no-brainer to come back and do it again. You're not going to not come back. So whether it be the same city, whether it be a different city, whether we move to the capital, whether we move around, I don't know. But it's a case of there are times when you go into markets in different territories where you don't get a sellout first, second, third time round. Yeah. We're kind of hitting here in the first one. So it's kind of hitting the ground running. And there's a buzz around here in Gothenburg. I've been to a few different meetings today in different venues, and staff that I've spoken to, like even if I was ordering a coffee or ordering lunch, they know Cage Warriors is on. So there's a bit of a buzz on, yeah. It's nice to see. Yeah.
And was Gothenburg always the number one choice, or what was it that sort of factored into choosing Gothenburg over, say, Stockholm?
Venue availability. You know, people think it's a case of you just you choose a city, or you choose where you're going just because you want to go there. Or but it comes down to the types of venue we need to use, the types of venue that can accommodate the size of the show, venue availability. And then where the fighters are based and how to get them there, the logistics of that. So Gothenburg worked out. It had the venue availability, so it was like, let's just do it. You know,
so like you said, sellout show first time, or looking like it anyway, and it gives us a lot of hope for the future. The first time, it was almost the opposite. It was very disheartening. You really had the commission against you. Did you run into any sort of problems with the commission the second time around, or do you feel like perhaps mistakes were made but corrected since then?
So I had a conversation with the head of the SMAF, who is Dick. I had a conversation with him many months ago, and we ironed out the details that stopped the show coming a few years back. We corrected the wrongs and made agreements with each other on how things would work with this one moving forward. And to be fair, I have nothing but good words to say about this chosen committee who are running the SMAP. They've done an excellent job in accommodating Cage Warriors, accommodating and reasoning with logic on the fights, on aspects of how we run the show, how they would run the show, and it's worked really well. You know, we normally don't work with commissions. You know, we've been doing this 10 years, and Cage Warriors is run as a mini UFC. Our medicals are higher standard than the UFC when it comes to brain scans and neck scans, and but none of that is here. So there are a lot of boxes unticked that we would have to tick in other countries when we oversee a show ourselves. So working with them, you know, it's been okay. We've had no problems. So it's a lot happier for everyone this time around, including the fans and the sport and the fighters and everybody else. So remember last time around, I had to switch an event in 3 weeks. Yeah, it was 3 weeks notice, and I
can only imagine the headache you got there.
Yeah, we switched an event that was being advertised and pushed. I think it was a 3 weeks notice. We switched it from Sweden to Jordan in the Middle East. Yeah, and that was a headache. But you know what? Applause to the SMAF and the committee that they've got in place. They've done an excellent job, and fingers crossed it stays that way till Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. So being, you know, having a level of insight into the fights and the fighters as you do, what do you feel is sort of the under the radar fight on the event tomorrow that fans should keep a lookout for and make sure not to take a bathroom break there?
Oh, there's a question. So there's a lot of talent coming through on the prelim fights. Junior and Sofiane. I'm always terrible at pronouncing non-English names. But that heavyweight bout is a very interesting bout for me because Junior got submitted by Sofiane. So I'm interested to see how that fight goes. You know, is there a potential trilogy there? You know, heavyweight divisions are pretty slim pickings in Europe. So is there a trilogy fight between those two? Do those two make a career out of fighting each other? That's going to be an interesting fight. Cornelia and Marlon, I believe I'm told is a serious grudge match. I don't know the full story, but everybody I've spoken to in any gym or coach or manager within Scandinavia has told me that's a fight that everybody's wanted to see for a while. Which I don't know the story, like I said, but it's
well, basically Hermansson called her out after a win, and then apparently said some things on social media, and then Holm responded. We talked to her a little bit about it as well, and then of course there's just the general rivalry between Stockholm and Gothenburg. Okay. So yeah, well done in booking that fight, because like you said, a lot of people were interested in seeing it.
It's a bit of fire there. I say it's just kind of like, okay, there's a bit of emotion in this fight, so I'm looking forward to that one. And going into the main card, so they're the two prelim fights that I'll hopefully have a seat to watch, maybe grab a Coke or something and take some time off. But the main card fight, all eyes from me in that main card are on the co-main and the main. You know, the co-main, because we have two 55ers who are top of their game, and I believe the winner of that fight walks away as the #1 contender for that Cage Warriors 155 world title. The two of them are up there in that elite of the roster we have. So I think we have one side of the 55 world title fight coming up this year in that fight. So it's going to be very interesting to see where that goes. Yeah. And then obviously the main event, I've known Nicholas for a long time, and I'm very, very excited to see him come back, fight again. He didn't know if he was going to fight again, and then he is. So I'm excited to see the version of Nicholas that we have back. You know, that's going to be it's going to be a huge fight for him. Coming from the UFC into Cage Warriors into the main event, he was a world champion with us. So it's going to be interesting to see the Nicholas that comes back to us, and I was going to be an exciting fight, and we get that Nicholas version 2 back in Cage Warriors, you know. So interesting fight, and he's got a tough opponent.
Yeah, definitely. He said it himself. An opponent that you really can't sleep on, who maybe mainstream fans don't know of, but if you take a closer look, you realize there's a lot of dangers. And a new nickname for Dalby, new fighters. Like you said, version 2 sounds very appropriate. And as always, a lot of great insight into the fights and into the market. And so fans, stay tuned. Don't blink. Be sure to catch Cage Warriors 93 tomorrow night here in Gothenburg. And be sure to stay tuned for a future Scandinavian title challenger and a future event in Scandinavia here next year as well. Graham, always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sebastian.